Welcome to Following Funnel Force. I'm Brent Stone. I've got my business partner here, Glen Martin, and we are excited to get in front of you all today with just some really good value on making sales easier. And we're continuing a previous episode where we're going to be talking about creating some miniature victories, cold calling process, and getting into what it looks like. And, if you're trying to just have a smoother sales experience, if you're a small business owner or if you're getting into sales, especially if you're in the advertising or in the digital marketing space, this is going to directly apply to you, but it could just be for people looking for a smoother sales process anyway, at any rate. So Glenn, anything you want to kick off with, lead off with, or what are your thoughts?
Hey everyone, it's great to be back. We had a pretty awesome discussion, I felt like last time on our last episode about, kind of setting up sales and really what the attitude looks like. And so honestly, I'm just pumped to kind of get back into it and look at maybe some of the aspects of sales that look harder for people or they look more difficult, which ultimately I believe can be kind of mitigated if you understand how to do it. And so, Brent, I'm excited for you to kind of dive in, really looking at some of the daily targets that people can hit to kind of gain some momentum and put themselves in the right space as you look at these mini victories. So I think it's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot of fun. We're gonna get into some really cool stuff today.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Here's one of the things that I think that sales trainings lack, because a lot of people just give the tactics. They don't give the strategy behind the tactics, especially when companies are onboarding new salespeople. Hey, you need to cold call this number of people a day and do this and do that. Why? Because if people understand why, and then they can basically have this like good attitude about everything that they're doing, it coincides and it makes the salesperson that much more confident. I guess there's certain personality styles that might not benefit from all the additional information. I just, for me personally, I love to understand why. Why is this number the number that we're shooting for as a target? And I'm actually going to break some of that stuff down. This directly applies to people that are calling on local clients to them. Like you're a small business, you're running a business in a local area. I think that this still applies if you're on an online business, in an online business. We're gonna get into some of these things, but here's what we're gonna suggest. I believe that when you talk to 5 to 10 new people a day, new businesses a day, you start to basically unlock some hidden potential within you as a salesperson. And here's why. Most people inherently are, I wouldn't say they're lazy, but they strive to basically hit the path of least resistance. If you have a really great conversation on conversation two at 8:30 a.m. in the morning, you're very likely, if you don't have a goal of having 5 to 10 real conversations on a daily basis, you're headed on a slippery slope to basically back off the gas and then lose some of your prospects in your pipeline. And here's some of the reason why this is not a good thing for your attitude. Because attitude ultimately in sales will make you the most money if you nurture it like a garden over the course of your career. If you nurture your sales attitude like a garden over the course of your career, you will be successful. You will sell a lot. You will easily be able to feed your family and then much, much more. But basically, if you're looking at this as, hey, I'm getting my pipeline full on a daily basis, you never sell from a position of lack or fear. And you're talking on a regular basis. It's like doing reps in the gym. If you're constantly doing reps, it's way easier for you to talk, not only more confidently, you sound like you know what you're talking about, which just creates buy-in right away from your potential prospects. If you don't have conversations on a regular basis, you sound clunky, you just don't do as well. I mean, it's just, trust me, from personal experience, I've been in different roles over the years in various capacities. Even myself, I can sound clunky if I go in, if I haven't done it in a while, and it's embarrassing because I know what I'm capable of. I know what you're capable of, even if you don't believe that. I can sit here and tell you, if you make enough reps, you will have the mental strength to go in and be a professional salesperson. Most people judge themselves based upon their results initially when you're new in sales or you're a small business owner, and you're worrying about all the other things. You're worrying about QuickBooks. You're worrying about, all these other, things, the bills that have to be paid, and your employee that just gave their 2 weeks notice after basically being 2 days on the job. Like, there's all these things. All the other things work out if you have this: I'm going to go day in, day out and make 5 to 10 new calls. Now, Brett, why is it not just 10? Why is it 5 to 10? As you start to build your pipeline and you start having more appointments fill your day, you're going to want some flexibility in how many people you call. It's not necessarily at some point in the future, you're going to start getting referrals from people because you've got a great reputation, because you're an expert in what you do. People are going to get to the point where you're going to get people sent to you. You still have to make those 5 to 10 reps, because what that does is when people send other people to you, you're mentally sharp. You know what to say. You know how to make those people feel confident in your ability to take care of them. That is just some of the basic stuff that you can't ever give up. And why 5 to 10 instead of just 10? Well, you're going to have so many appointments at some point in the future that you're going to still need to be able to talk to people on a daily basis. And you have that flexibility to bring it back up to 10 as your day starts to maybe get less full, because after you start getting people onboarded with your products and services or whatever the case is, you're going to hit this time where people are going to be able to not self-sustain. You'll check in on your clients, but after you get somebody getting success and getting results in their campaigns, whatever they're doing with you, it just makes it a lot easier to maintain that relationship. People are excited to see you. You can pop in 10, 15 minutes and spend more time with them if they have time to do it. But a lot of times people are just glad to see you, glad that you stopped in to say hi, and they're excited because they've got customers coming in the door based upon what you did for them. And so your days will open back up, and then you go through these cycles. So I say 5 to 10 because as your calendar fills up, you don't have to obligate yourself to hitting 10 new businesses, because then you don't want to like starve yourself from seeing your existing clients or doing follow-up meetings or doing presentation meetings or all these other things that are also equally as important. But probably the highest priority thing is just staying sharp, keeping your attitude, also paying your dues. There's something to be said for when you pay your dues on a daily basis as a salesperson. You feel like you're earning that paycheck, even if you've already done the work to get paid off of getting somebody a winning strategy and campaign. You feel like you're earning that money when you go out there and you're talking to these new businesses on a regular basis, which impacts your attitude in a very healthy way. And when your attitude is healthy and you feel good about yourself, you're going to make more sales. And your existing clients are going to want to do business with you that much more. So there's just a lot, there. Glenn, if I missed something there, please fill in. But when we're talking about setting up mini victories, the victories don't come from signed contracts. It's like victories come from putting the reps in and then having people know that you're the local guy for this thing. And for us, we do what we do. This show isn't to promote that, but what this show is to be able to help you understand as a salesperson or as a small business owner or as a big business owner or whatever. If you're running some of the closing calls or running some of the sales calls yourself, people just need to know who you are and what you do. And a lot of times people are like, yeah, well, that's common sense. But if you looked at the calendar of the people that are like, oh, well, that's common sense, a lot of times they're so busy, they don't make those calls anymore. They don't make the 5 to 10 calls anymore. And I think that's really big, especially if you're going to try to just have a very small, dependable little business that basically makes you, net take home of a couple $100,000 a year. You want to basically be sharp all the time. And that way it's also easier to train somebody in the future when they come on board. If you're sharp all the time, it's way easier to answer questions from people when they are stumped in the field doing what you've been doing for years. So, all right, I'll shut up, Glenn. I'll kick it back to you so you can add some perspective to that get off my soapbox here, but
I think it's so good. The daily consistent action keeps you sharp and it keeps you confident. I'll give you a story. Just earlier this week, I was in a place of business and the sales guy walked in, and he's obvious, kudos to him for walking in, but either he's brand new in sales or he tries to not walk into businesses very often because he was kind of stumbling over himself and he was apologizing for stopping in. And I'm like, you have a good product. You should be so proud to be walking in this office right now to say, hey, this is what I offer. Not sure if you guys, he's like, wow, I know this says this on the door. He's like apologetic, and it's okay. Good for him for walking in because maybe that was like his first
sure.
day. I don't know those things, but in sales, you don't want to be that guy that walks in and you're like, what's my name? And they're like, who are you? And you start stumbling over yourself because you're nervous, and that's going to happen maybe in the beginning if you're just like, I got to figure this out. Go through some of those hard days, but man, if you're doing 5 to 10 a day, if you do 2 in the morning like that, the third one you're starting to kind of get your stride. You know what you're going to say. Fourth one, you walk in, you shake a hand, and someone's like, hey, thank you so much. Can you drop a card off? I definitely want to get this to the owner. And you're like, oh man, that was good. Now I can't wait to go to the next one. And you start
It
stacking.
feels good.
It feels good, yeah. But if you don't, then you're like this guy that I saw where you come in and you're like, hey, I'm so sorry to interrupt your day. But we have this product. I don't even know if you need this really, but I just wanted to see if I could stop in. You have this on the door, but blah blah blah, and you're apologetic, and you're like you feel bad for interrupting people, and you feel like you're a nuisance. No, you got to get these reps in so that you're confident, and you walk in and you're like, you want to be. You want to have the aura of owning the room because you own yourself and you own the product that you have, and that only comes from these daily victories. And thinking about kind of setting yourself up for many wins. Some days you're driving around or you're talking to businesses. I remember one day where I was going into different businesses, and it maybe wasn't my most productive day ever, where it was just like kind of not getting really anywhere. And I saw a road sign, and it said something about we do X, and it had the person's number, and I was like, well, shoot, I'm going to call them. And so I just picked up my phone and called him, and the guy's like, hello. And I said, hey, we're, a local digital marketing agency. We do X, Y, and Z for your business. And he's like, no way. I did not know there was a local business. Can you meet up tomorrow? And I'm like, well, yes, I can, boom. So that was a victory. And now I'm like, well, who else can I talk to? Because he didn't even know I was around. Who else can I talk to that's looking for someone local that doesn't know that we're here? That's setting yourself up for many victories. And those calls, whether that would have been me walking in or whether that would have been me making a phone call, doesn't really matter because now I'm good to go for another 2 to 3 days. And those many victories will set you up. Here's what you'll do. You'll make a good call like that, and then you call your wife and you're like, wife, schnuggums, like I made a good call today and we should go out for ice cream. And then, the next day you're kind of like, well, that one's going to be the sale. Like he's excited so you don't do it. And then he's busy and he can't meet with you then the day. And so it goes 2 days and you're like, no, that's going to be my guy. Boom, you're killing your momentum. And now it's like pulling a wisdom tooth. Like you don't want to go and do it because you've fallen out for 2 days and you lost your momentum. These mini victories are big. So yeah, totally. This is awesome. I love this kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's so relevant because it's not taught anymore. It's not taught it's not about grinding it out. It's not about just hard work all the time. And here's what it's about. It's about basically putting in the mental exercise every day so you feel good about you. And especially if you're going to be in professional sales. And people are like, well, I am the business. You're still in professional sales. So regardless of what you're doing, whether you're basically selling collaborative relationships between other people and your company, and you've got a sales team that's actually selling your wares, your products, your services, whatever, you're probably still at some degree selling some of your products and services. So it's so good to be having those conversations on a regular basis. And I'm speaking to myself just as much as I'm speaking to other people. You want to be able to go and do these things and never forget that. So I know, getting ready to kind of go into some of the next couple topics, we've taken module 1 from the sales course that Glenn and I outlined, that's actually added value inside of our local agency blueprint course right now. It won't always be added value. We will sell this. There will be a dollar value attached to this, I can assure you. But we want to be able to create some value to be able to put out there so people can have some free value. Know that there's some really good stuff in this course curriculum. And for the next episode, what we're going to be covering is, we're actually going to be talking about the art of strategic follow-ups, what that does, how small wins compound over time, an extension of what we were talking about today. And it'll be really good being able to help people look at some of these things. We're going to be looking at balance between basically being personalized on your follow-ups and being top of mind with your clients. I'm looking at some of my notes here just to make sure I don't jump too far down the sheet here, but we want to be able to help people understand the value behind positive interactions and the reps as well, with just getting in front of the same people on a regular basis. I heard a long time ago, and then I'm going to turn it over to Glenn for any kind of final thoughts. But a long time ago, when I was in probably the most educational sales job that I'd ever have, it was in the radio business. And I worked with some incredible people in that business. They taught me so much, but there was this little trophy that we gave out every month to the salesperson of the month. And the trophy was called the Booty. And the Booty was named after a gentleman named Booty Deckard. And Booty had a sales route. Have you ever heard of like local salespeople having a route? Well, Booty had a route. He did the same people on the same days of the week at the exact same time within like minutes. I mean, like basically people expected him to walk in the door, and he was like legendary. And the radio station group that I was a part of had been around since like the 70s. And so he was a career salesperson that didn't view himself as a career salesperson. He viewed himself as a person fostering the solution for local businesses to be able to be famous. And I'm like, this guy is just, he's incredible. And he built this legacy. And it's really fascinating, because I'm in this book right now that actually talks a little bit about like looking at how you provide a living for your family. And there's some people that look at, their job shining shoes as, I'm just a shoe shining sales, a shoe shining person. And then there's other people that look at their career as a shoe shining person as, I can deliver beautiful shoes to a person, and basically elevating their self-image, their confidence, and making them feel good about them. That person ends up going out to basically changing the world through shining shoes. And it sounds silly, but you follow these stories to the end of their career path, and they do amazing things compared to the person that is in the exact same position that does nothing with themselves, does nothing. I mean, literally they're bitter their entire career. So attitude's everything. And I'll kick it over to Glenn for final thoughts here. But next episode, we are going to be talking about the art of strategic follow-ups, small wins, things like that are really big for small businesses, especially local agencies.
Yeah, I mean that's a great way to look at it. What do you feel like you're doing? I've heard this story of these different bricklayers, and this guy walked up and talked to these bricklayers, and the one's like, I'm building a house, and the other guy's like, I'm building the most magnificent cathedral ever, and the other guy's like, I'm earning $11 an hour. That's the difference. And you could look at the Bible, and you look at someone like Peter as a disciple. He was a fisherman. But when Jesus called him as a disciple, all of a sudden, it's like you're now a fisher of men. And it took him a bit, I think, to understand what that meant. But then you see, you know, Jesus talking about, you know, Peter going to be the rock that he built his church on. And then he actually really got a hold of that. And all of a sudden it was like, he was one of the most dynamic speakers as an apostle of Jesus, because he started to realize that he wasn't just, you know, catching fish anymore. He was actually doing something that was impacting eternity. You know, different example, but I just think that, you know,
really
when
good.
you can take it all the way back to the Bible and you can see that, then you bring it into your sales career and it's like, what are you trying to do? I'm just trying to earn $3,000 a month for my family. Oh, I feel sorry for you. You know, like you should be you are impacting the life of someone today. And
when you have that thought process, you end up making like 5 times as much money every single month, 10 times as much.
Exactly.
And it's just a byproduct.
It's just a byproduct. Just a byproduct. It's so good. I mean, we can get into so much of this stuff. And here's what I would tell you guys as we kind of bring this episode to a close. If you are new in sales and you would like to figure out how you can get a hold of, you know, our process, look us up on Instagram at Funnel Force and just DM us the word sales, and we will get in touch with you about how we can get you some more information outside of this podcast that you can go out, use it to impact your family in a positive way.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Well, hey, this has been awesome, Glenn. Thank you. And we look forward to seeing everyone again, or look forward to hopefully you seeing us and getting some value from this. Please subscribe, share it, and we would love to earn your listenership. So with that, you all have a great day.